According to the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System, there are approximately 90,000 missing persons in the United States at any given time. With the advancement of modern detective work and advanced scientific methods, such as genealogy testing, the vast majority of missing person cases end up being solved today. Even so, sometimes investigators just aren't able to provide enough conclusive evidence to put the pieces together on some of these cases, and they go unsolved. There have been some devastating, very suspicious missing persons cases in recent times that definitely fall into this category. Throughout history, though, all around the world, certain missing person cases have left investigators and families struggling to find answers. When there is little evidence to no evidence and no eyewitnesses, missing persons cases tragically end up being closed and unsolved. Come with us as we walk through some of the most puzzling and tragic missing persons cases throughout history all around the globe. Snapping a selfie has become so commonplace nowadays that we don't even think about doing it. We just whip out our phone, snap a photo, and put it back in our pockets. But have you ever stopped to wonder what might happen if the photo you just took turned out to be your last? That was the case with these people who were caught on camera right before vanishing. We don't know who the woman in these photos is. We do, however, know who the man is. He's Michael Garglio, who'd recently been convicted of taking the lives of 3 women, but may have gotten to as many as 9. Ashton Kutcher testified against him in the trial, as one of Garglio's victims was an ex-girlfriend of his. These photos were found when Garglio's home and car were searched. They seemed like a couple in love, but authorities still questioned whether there were more victims that they weren't aware of. Tara Grinstead. This is one of the last known photographs taken of beauty queen and high school history teacher Tara Grinstead. Then 30, Tara had been missing since October 2005. One night before her disappearance, she visited a beauty pageant and attended a barbecue. The following week, when she failed to show up for work, co-workers called the police. At her home, there were no sign of forced entry or a struggle. In 2017, 11 years later, a tip led to an arrest. The culprit was a former student of hers who broke into her house and attacked her, later disposing of the body. Natalia Molina, Valenzuela. In the age of social media, the last photos of people may come from the people themselves. This photo is case in point. It was posted to social media on September the 2nd, 2016 by a Colombian woman named Natalia, who was with a crew member on the Norwegian Pearl cruise ship. A mere 6 days later, when the ship was sailing through Funter Bay off the coast of Alaska, Molina jumped overboard. The U.S. Coast Guard searched for her for 42 hours, covering 340 square miles, but there was no sign of her. She was 24. George Mallory and Sandy Irvine. If this one seems like it was just taken on a hostile alien planet, it's because it sort of was. It was taken June 1924 at base camp of the world's highest mountain, Mount Everest. English mountaineers George Mallory and Andrew Sandy Irvine were part of a 1924 British expedition that tried to achieve the first ascent to the mountain summit. The first 2 attempts were unsuccessful, And on the third day, Mallory and Irvine vanished. It was never conclusively proven whether they'd actually reached the top. 75 years later, after disappearing, Mallory's remains were found, showing signs of a fatal fall. Maura Murray is a case that has been dwelled into many different times. In fact, I've talked about it a few times as well, but we're going to go through it one more time. Maura Murray was a University of Massachusetts nursing student who disappeared on February 9th, 2004, 5 days after Facebook launched. The 21-year-old told professors she'd be taking a week off due to a death in the family, which turned out to be a lie. She then packed a bag, withdrew some money, and bought adult beverages. The black and white photo seen here is from the ATM's camera. Murray got into her car and headed out of town only to crash it on a snowbank. Police arrived on the scene 10 minutes later, but Maura was already gone and hasn't been seen since. Roe Bechtel. This is one of the last publicly available photographs of 24-year-old Roe Bechtel, who went for a jog and never returned. Considering she vanished in July of 1997, there are shockingly few clues as to what might have happened. Her car was discovered parked on the side of the road in Shoshone National Forest, but provided no clues. An intensive 10-day search and rescue operation found virtually nothing else. At one point, Amy's husband Steve was suspected, but he had an alibi. A $25,000 reward went unclaimed for so long that the family converted it into 2 college scholarships in Amy's name. Lynn Marler. There's no mistaking this photo. It's from the 1980s. It's also one of the last ones ever taken of 12-year-old Sherry Marler, before her unsettling disappearance in June 1984. She and her stepfather were in a bank and he gave her $1 to buy herself a soda. She was last seen exiting the bank, crossing the road to the gas station across from it. When her stepdad returned to his truck 15 minutes later, she was gone. By the end of 1984, there had been 3 possible sightings of Sherry, all unconfirmed, all placing her with a strange man, all saying she looked completely out of it. She's not been found to this day. Rebecca Coryam. There's unsettling, and then there's Rebecca Coryam. The 24-year-old was living her dream working on the Disney Wonder cruise ship when she disappeared in March 2011. Had she gone overboard, as the cruise company claimed? Has she taken her own life, or was there something more sinister at play? CCTV captured her last images. At 4:45 a.m. the day she vanished, she paced the deck, wearing baggy men's clothes and tugging at her hair, looking distraught. The only trace of her remaining was a pair of flip-flops found near a swimming pool. But if she was truly gone, why had her bank accounts been accessed months later?